We're going to the Philippines, specifically two places. Palawan, more specifically the city of Puerto Princesa, and Tacloban, which is on the island of Leyte. We're going there for specific reasons. At Palawan, we're going to be going on an underground river. We're going to be taking a boat ride on that river. And at Tacloban, that's where my father and Douglas MacArthur came ashore. As a matter of fact, my father was on the beach when Douglas MacArthur came ashore. As a matter of fact, he came ashore more than one time so that the photographers could get enough pictures of him wading onto the Philippines. The Philippines is east of Southeast Asia, and Palawan is that island that looks like a long string bean on the western side of the Philippines. Tacloban, on the other hand, is at the southern tip of the island of Leyte. I landed at Puerto Princesa on the island of Palawan and went straight to my hotel, the Princesa Garden Island. It's probably the best hotel in town. And when you pull up for check-in, they ring a gong. There are a number of water features here, and I've seen this sort of thing on islands like Bali and other places in Indonesia, and occasionally you'll see it in India and other places in Asia. And this particular area is crisscrossed with these little concrete canals, and in the canals they have fish, and in particular, the ones that are most colorful are the koi. Now, I used to raise koi, and so I know that there's a story about koi, and that is that when they get to be 999 years old, they turn into dragons. They do live for a very long period of time. The Princesa Hotel is right on the ocean, and you can get a villa that is extending out into the Pacific Ocean. I, of course, did not want to pay that much, and so I didn't get that particular kind of villa. Puerto Princesa is the capital of the province of Palawan, and it's, I think, the biggest city on the island, and probably has the most traffic. But why is it called Puerto Princesa? Well, the Porto is easy, it's a port. But why the princess? There's several possible origins. It's said to have been attributed by the locals to a princess-like maiden that roams the place on certain nights of the year, while other accounts attribute it to the geographical advantage as a seaport. It's naturally protected due to surrounding mountains, and it has a very deep water port for any ocean-going vessel. There are two official versions, however, of the actual origin of the name. The first is that the place was originally named Port of the Princess after Infanta Eulalia, one of the princesses born to Isabel II of Spain and her consort Francis, Duke of Cadiz. Another version, however, states that the place was originally named Port Annuncion, allegedly named after another daughter of Isabella II and the Duke of Cadiz. In this version, the princess suffered an untimely death, which prompted the queen to change the name to the Puerto de la Prinza, and it was eventually shortened to Puerto Princesa. However, the second version is likely to be incorrect, as Isabella and Francis did not have a daughter by that name. But we're not here to see the city of Puerto Princesa. Instead, we're here to see the subterranean river, an underground river that flows through this karst landscape. This is basically a limestone type landscape. The geography here is full of caves of one kind or another, and we're looking for the river that goes out to the ocean. Now it turns out that the mountain that this river flows through actually kind of looks like a man, an old man, lying down sleeping. You can see his nose pretty clearly. Now to get to the underground river, you have to cross a little bit of ocean water. And so we need to get on one of these boats and go out a short distance to another beach. As you can guess, this is a pretty popular trip. Local people primarily like to take this trip over to the underground river. The boats that you initially take have floats or pontoons on each side of the boat for stabilization purposes. Actually, the water seems to be quite calm right now, although later on in the afternoon it's going to get just a little bit rougher. One of the things that's pretty immediately recognizable is that although this is the Pacific Ocean, the water here is quite shallow. And so when they come into a dock at this location, or take off for that matter, they have to use a pole in order to push the ships away from the dock. The ship you see now is my ship, the one that I'm going to be boarding, and these passengers on it are my compatriots. It's a relatively short distance over to the next beach, and there we will end up on a beach, not a dock.
approaching to the park, again, no swimming, no smoking is allowed. Just bring the life jacket, then if you go down, grab the ladder, hold this one, then move a little bit, then we have to take some photo. The background is the limestone here at the back. Then we have to walk around like 3 minutes walk going to the mouth of the cave. And also we have one restroom here if you want to use the restroom. And this is the area that the monkey and the monitor lizard you can see. Just walking around. Macaque.
Once on the beach, you meet a sign almost immediately that warns you about the danger of being around macaque monkeys. Now, as you may remember, I have had relatively bad experience with macaque monkeys in the past. They're aggressive and way too smart. Now, this is the troublemaker himself, right on the beach with us. Macaques are not nearly as innocent as they look. You'd think that they wouldn't cause any trouble at all, but they're so aggressive and used to people that they're a problem. In this particular case, this macaque thinks there's juice in that bottle and he's trying to figure out how to get it out. The cave is just on the other side of the beach that we were on, where we load onto smaller boats, and these boats are going to be paddled, there's no motor on them, into the cave. As you can see, the cave is pretty popular. It's one boat right after another. The Puerto Princesa subterranean river is the second longest underground river in the world. It's about 5 miles underground stretch, traversing a cave that is at least 20 miles long. The river winds through the caves through a flowing system going directly into the South China Sea. Salt water mixes with the fresh water for quite a distance into the cave, and that creates a stratified water column. Fresh water frequently is only the upper layer of a few inches thick. The stratification is absent if there's a heavy rainfall, of course, because the rain washes the salt water out of the cave. The river is navigable by boat up to almost 3 miles from the sea. Now, this park, as I mentioned, is a limestone karst mountain landscape, and its caves include formations of stalactites and stalagmites and several large chambers, including a 360-meter long, that's over 1,000 feet, Italian's chamber. The Italian's chamber is approximately 2.5 million square meters in volume. It's one of the largest cave rooms in the world. In fact, until 2007, with the discovery of an underground river in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the Puerto Princesa was reputed to be the world's longest underground river, but the underground river in the Yucatan is over 300 miles long, and so the Puerto Princesa would have to go much, much further in order to maintain the title, the world's longest subterranean river. In 2010, a group of environmentalists and geologists did discover that the subterranean river has a second floor, which means that there's a small waterfalls inside the cave. They also found a cave dome measuring 300 meters, that's almost 1,000 feet, above the underground river. Of course, rock formations, large bats. Usually you don't find large fruit-eating bats in caves like this. It's mostly insectivorous bats. There was a deep water hole that they found and more river channels, and another deep cave, as well as marine creatures, that is saltwater creatures, and some of the deepest areas of the underground river are, however, almost impossible to explore because of oxygen deprivation. On November the 11th, 2011, this cave was provisionally chosen to be one of the 7 new wonders of the world, together with the Amazon forest, Halong Bay, Iguazu Falls, Komodo Island, Table Mountain, and so forth. However, the voting was criticized, especially the Philippine voting, because nothing in the rules on voting procedure prohibited repetitive voting, making the results subject to government and tourism industry campaigns to vote for local sites with the financial incentive of increased tourism. So how this would turn out had that not been the rule is somewhat questionable. Incidentally, when you're in a cave like this, you don't want to look up at the ceiling with your mouth open. Because of the bats, you could get a gift that you hadn't expected or wanted. There are 9 species of bat, 2 species of swiftlet, and a whip scorpion found in the cave. In this area, there are some 30 mammal species that have been recorded and 19 species of reptiles of various kinds. In the cave, I did see a python. It's probably feeding on the bats, I would assume. In addition, there is a pangolin that is endemic only to Palawan, a Palawan pangolin. I didn't see that, and I would have liked to. And there's a bear cat, better named a binturong, which is the local name and the scientific name for this animal. It's neither a bear nor a cat. The binturong I did see, but it was in sort of a zoo type environment. Next, we're going to Tacloban, where Douglas MacArthur waded ashore. At the time, my father was in the First Cavalry Division, and he was an MP. And they were sent out back to the beach after he landed to get some supplies. When they did, he happened to be on the beach when Douglas MacArthur waded ashore. Now, as an MP, of course, Dad had to direct traffic from time to time, and they sent him out to a traffic circle in Tacloban. There happened to be a Boy Scout statue at this traffic circle. The Boy Scout statue had been erected in 1941. Well, while Dad was directing traffic, Japanese and American aircraft were fighting above him, and occasionally rounds were hitting in his area. And so he hid behind the Boy Scout statue. This is the Boy Scout statue that he hid behind. Now, there's a Coca-Cola bottling plant on the far right of this picture. That plant was established in 1953, but when Dad was at this traffic circle in 1944, it looked much more like this. I also discovered that this isn't the only Boy Scout statue in the Manila area, or in Tacloban for that matter. There is another one that was erected only a couple of decades ago, and it is in between the Boy Scout statue that Dad hid behind and Douglas MacArthur's memorial. And this is the newer Boy Scout statue. These two things are what I went to the Philippines for: seeing the underground river at Puerto Princesa and Dad's Boy Scout statue.